Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And I am sure if you're an XRP holder, and when people talk about the digital dollar or the central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, you're listening. And no doubt you've asked yourself, how does SWIFT fit into this changing landscape? And for moving cross-border digital currencies from one fiat to another, how difficult is it? What are the challenges? Well, I hope to tell you in this video from people who are in the industry, a think tank, and also a senior developer of the project that just did that, moving money from Thailand to Hong Kong, and what difficulty they did find, which I think if you're an XRP holder, you're going to be very, very interested. We're going to look at that in this video. All right, so knowing first that this subject is on the top of every central bank's inbox, it really is. I want you to hear how this gentleman, which is from May 2020, how he sees it's going to take place.
Well, there will be a variety of models, just as there will be a variety of policy reasons that sit behind launching a digital currency. So different jurisdictions will apply different models. Crudely, that could run from a central bank doing everything, i.e. providing the platform, the technology, running the accounts, running the entire system, to at the other end of the spectrum, the whole business being outsourced almost completely to the private sector, both bank and non-bank. I anticipate many countries will experiment with a kind of system whereby the central bank provides the currency, but the private sector provides the means of delivery. And indeed, private sector operators are also encouraged to operate, if you like, on the rails that are being provided.
So, a variety of models. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And so where does this think tank, OMFIF, see the first country to launch a digital fiat retail currency, not a wholesale currency, because those wholesale currencies are already in play. Thailand, for example, is using them with some big companies. I'm talking about the digital fiat retail currency. This is what China is trying to get live, and it's where the citizens can actually use it within the country. This is a much more complicated step, and I think you're going to be surprised on his answer here. Have a listen.
Results, but I think three big conclusions. One is we will undoubtedly see a central bank digital fiat retail currency at some point in the next 3 years, and it will most likely be from a smaller rather than a larger country, partly because they are simply able to move a lot faster, partly because they're able to make the technological leap a lot more quickly as well. Secondly, we think it is going to be a public-private partnership because neither side can or wishes to do the whole kit and caboodle on its own. And I think thirdly that central banks are going to be front and center here. This is not going to be outsourced entirely to the private sector. And our research indicates quite strongly that central banks are trusted to lead and be the guardians of this kind of initiative.
So within the next 3 years, it's a lot longer than I thought. And more likely a smaller country will do it before a larger one. Although I think you can take China out of that comparison because the fact that they don't have as many different hoops to jump through because it's very centrally governed, it probably is one of the larger countries that can do it quicker. But I was really happy to hear that it's, he sees it as a public and private partnership. But what about the technology? What about the technology for a central bank digital currency? Have a listen to what he says here.
There's an assumption in some quarters that the underlying technology for CBDC will be blockchain or distributed ledger technology. That's not necessarily the case at all. And in fact, our research demonstrates that a centralized, trusted provider in the shape of a central bank is what the public would expect for this, rather than some kind of decentralized ledger.
Well, that's definitely his opinion. So let's go to a country that has already deployed a central bank digital currency. That would be on the wholesale side, and it is Thailand. And they have done it with R3, who built for them a solution on Corda. And they did it back in 2018. They launched this project called Inthanon. It's named after the highest mountain in Thailand, just if you are curious. And they divided this project into 3 phases. Phase 1 was moving the intraday clearing between the commercial bank and the central bank. Phase 2 was all about smart contracts, and they were successfully able to program the money. And then Phase 3, I want you to listen to Vijay Sethaput. He is with the Bank of Thailand, and this video is from July 28, 2020. And there are 3 members for this video that come from the Bank of Thailand in regards to their wholesale CBDCs. And you can see here that it's interesting what he has to say, especially when we hear him discuss the difficulties with SWIFT, actually.
For the third phase, what we try to solve is this corresponding bank problem. When you try to transfer things cross-border, sometimes you need to go through several corresponding banks, which make it slow and make it expensive to do the fund transfer across border. So what we try to do is we try to solve this problem. So we design what we call the corridor network to help facilitate the transfer of money. So that's kind of the 3 phases, technical problem or challenges, and that we have studied.
So they definitely wanted to do this 3rd phase because of the correspondent banking problem is so slow and it's so expensive, and it just doesn't give them the optimal results. So how did that phase 3 go? Well, we can hear in this podcast. This is a podcast that has the member of the team from the Bank of Thailand, and they are talking about Project Inthanon again. And they are just addressing this real issue that SWIFT has. This is very recent. This is the 13th of August, 2020. And you're going to hear, if you have a little trouble with the accent, you're going to hear that there is a need for a new infrastructure, that the SWIFT legacy performance is really at the lower limit, and you don't want to get through the multiple intermediaries, and it's expensive to send a message, and it takes days, and there's installation and membership fees, and you even have to do manual entries. So this no standard, though, is very interesting. Have a listen to this portion.
People's Bank of China and the Bank of France experiment, so that, as you can see now, many central banks are rolling out their own blockchain solution or experiment. But as Vijay mentioned, there is no standard yet, and they have different goals. So, for example, the China's DCEP is a retail CBDC, while the Bank of France and Bank of Thailand CBDC are focusing on the wholesale side. So that means when they finally go live, going to the actual use, there will be a new infrastructure that's needed to connect all the CBDCs because they are built with different technology. And I believe that the CBDC needs a new infrastructure rather than like SWIFT. The reason is that SWIFT requires like a manual entry of recipients' information and involves multiple intermediaries, takes several days and costs $100 to send a message, and it builds expensive membership fees and installation fees. If CBDC still use legacy systems for cross-border transactions, their performances will be bound by the lower limit of that legacy system. And adopting a new infrastructure can unlock all the benefits of CBDCs. Blockchain can match the speed of the CBDCs, and it's also much cheaper. A transaction can be executed simply by scanning a QR code and settling in a few seconds. And there are also technologies that can connect conventional payment system to blockchains, streamlining the upgrade process. So blockchain is ready to solve these challenges.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, so blockchain is ready to solve these challenges. It can match the speed, it's more efficient, it's cheaper, it can connect original payment systems. But there was a problem. There was a big challenge for them in phase 3. And it was not a technology problem. It was a liquidity problem. You're going to hear in this portion of that podcast where they talk about how the liquidity between Thailand and Hong Kong is not equal, meaning they have to deal with a shortage. It's a difference in price. And to successfully do the transfers, they needed to have help with that, with a settlement bank. And it was really an economic and finance kind of problem that they found along the way. So technical, yeah, possible, doable. But with this difference in currency, without a liquidity solution like a digital asset XRP, it's complicated stuff. I want you to listen to this portion.
For the money across border. So that's kind of our objective, to be able to study how this interoperability between blockchain or DLT system interact, and what kind of question or what kind of problems or issues that we have to face in this kind of experiment. So I think the experiment went well. We can do this transfer between countries, but one of the main issues that we found is this have nothing to do with the technology, but it's the problem. How can we find the liquidity to kind of match? Because the transfer between Thailand and Hong Kong is not equal. So when we do this transfer in the corridor network, we have to have what we call the settlement bank to kind of help with the liquidity shortage of one side to kind of balance it out, so we can do this transfer successfully. So it's become kind of the economics or finance kind of problem that we kind of found along the way. The technology itself is doable, but this is more complicated stuff.
Yeah.
So the technical part was doable, but the balancing out of the difference between the value of the currencies was complicated stuff. And they needed help. They needed to have one more intermediary along the way, which was the settlement bank. And with XRP, you wouldn't need that at all. So I think that, I'm going to go to this one. If you're a little fuzzy still on liquidity, I'm going to put a link to this Ripple page down in the description below, because it really does a good job at explaining the value of XRP and how that solution for liquidity works. And getting back to liquidity, wow, I'll tell you, there is just some new charts that came out in the last few hours, and I can tell you that things are rising slightly. And sort of consistently since hitting those lows back in late July and around August 1st. So we have seen a little bit of a rise in the Mexican corridor, the Philippine corridor, even the Bitstamp corridor, which handles the euro. And have a look at Australia. You know, somebody is doing something here. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. And I want to say thank you so much to Pucker's Pete. Yeah, he is the person who gave me the heads up that there is an inaugural crypto town hall that will start at 12:30 in New York for Emmer for Congress. It happens on the 20th of August, and yes, the Ripple CEO is one of the confirmed participants. So Mr. Garlinghouse will be there along with Jeremy Allaire from Circle and Guy Hirsch from eToro US, Stephen, Pear from BitPay, and Matthew Rozak from The Block. You can register to join, and when you get your registration done, they say that they'll send you an event number in your email just before it goes live. So I signed up. I'll see if I can attend even with the time difference. And this is a very beautiful historic hotel, isn't it? It's one of the what's called a superstructure because it was one of the first in the United States to use a steel construction. And it is called the Mount Washington Hotel, completed in 1902. And it is where the Bretton Woods Conference was held in 1944. This is when they decided to set back the US dollar, or to back the US dollar with gold, which at that time was selling for just $35 an ounce. And I want to say thank you to XRP Lothian, because he sent me 2 photographs. And this is the one of the managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, and it is her spending her birthday there. And I talked about this a little bit from the video that I discovered, that she let everyone know that she was going to go there because she wanted to contemplate how challenging these times are and go reflecting back on the restart of the economy that was done after World War II. And we have a similar need, however, yes, under different circumstances for sure. But I found it kind of inspirational that she was going to go do this. And this is the actual room that that conference was held in and that the documents were signed. It's called the Gold Room. What a fabulous hotel, right? I just think it's one of those places, if you're on the East Coast, it just, yeah, it's so East Coast. You know, I grew up on the West Coast, and we don't have a lot of this historic side of life. Everything is not so historic. I mean, there are some like historic churches that are from the missionaries that came up across California and that. But I mean, when it comes to these old historic buildings that are turn of the century, we just don't have a whole lot on the West Coast. So I'm always very, very impressed. And I see this and I go, wow, this is the US. Amazing. Well, if we jump to some fluff, if you're in a hotel in Tokyo, you're probably more apt to see some kind of crazy, wacky theme hotel. This is a new one that is opening up very soon. Actually, it's a hotel that's open. It's in Asakusa. It's called the Tobu Hotel, but they have they put their hotel kind of on ice for a while. They were going to open in July, then it got postponed. Now they're going to open in October. But starting on the 25th of this month, you're going to start to be able to make reservations for their Hello Kitty rooms. There are 6 Hello Kitty rooms, and I think they're anticipating they're going to have a sellout. This is another one here. So if you are into the Hello Kitty themes and you're in Tokyo, maybe this is one of those dream hotels for you. It'll, yeah, take your reservation as of the 25th. And I think If all goes well, it'll open in October. I thought it was pretty fun. And then I promised everybody that I would share a little bit of the time I spent at the Team Labs, which is a Epson collaboration, and they do a digital art installment with lights, and it was really, really, really fun. It's so funny when you enter in there. There's no map. You just have to go find all the rooms. And when you think you have found all the rooms and then you go down one corridor and look into another room, you think, oh my gosh, here's another one I haven't seen yet. So I even lost count as to how many were there. But then after, we were just, this is my friend and I, we were wanting to go eat dinner. And I just had the idea to go check in on my old restaurant that I have been a customer with for 15 years. And this is Ochi-san. He is a very famous celebrity chef. He has his own boxed pasta sauce. He has lots of recipe and cookbooks. He's on a TV program a lot. So he's a big time celebrity chef. And I didn't have a reservation. And I said to myself, oh, heck, it's kind of slow time. We're in the middle of a holiday here. And Tokyo has really been slow over the last few months. So I thought, let's just go give it a shot. Well, it was totally packed, but 5 minutes prior, someone had canceled. So we were just really, really lucky to get the last table for two, and we had a really good dinner. And for their dinners, they do just course meals. And I'm telling you, you will get full, and you'll also feel very satisfied that you didn't pay too much, because it's very fair for what you get. It's top quality Tokyo restaurant. He does Italian. He started out as a French chef at a very, very famous hotel, but has since moved to be well known for his Italian food. And he's now also, expanded into Nagoya, and he is in Kanazawa. He has another couple of locations in Tokyo. So, oh my gosh, can you believe that I got there on a night with a Friday night without a reservation, and he was in the kitchen? I was very, very lucky, and I was very, very happy. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.